Of course. Here is the story of Port Chatham, rewritten to be more engaging and structured for a 10-minute video narration using the details you provided. Abandoned towns are scattered across the globe. Most are epilogues to natural disasters or economic change, but sometimes a settlement is abandoned for a far more sinister reason, a reason that doesn't come from the earth or the market, but from the shadows of the wilderness itself. This is the story of Port Chatham, Alaska, a town not washed away by water, but emptied by fear. Its story began with promise. In 1787, British explorers seeking shelter in a storm found a breathtaking bay. They named it Portlock Harbor. Over a century later, its bounty of salmon drew industry. A large cannery was built, and a community sprang up around it, officially becoming Port Chatham. But almost immediately, the residents learned a dark secret. The beautiful surrounding woods were not entirely theirs. Hunters reported discovering moose carcasses hideously mutilated, surrounded by strange, unexplained tracks. The local indigenous Aleut workers spoke of a dark force dwelling in the region. They called it the Nantiinaq, a creature not born a monster, but a human cursed by dark forces. They warned it did not want them there. The warnings were dismissed as superstition until the attacks crept closer. One of the first major tragedies involved a hunting party. 3 experienced bow hunters, local factory workers, set out for the highlands. They never returned for their shift. A search party found only ominous signs. A hunting bow snapped in two with immense force, scattered arrows, open tins. The men were gone. Weeks later, a fisherman found a horrifying sight in a mountain lagoon. The headless, armless body of one hunter was submerged in the water. The post-mortem baffled the local doctor. No claw marks, no bite wounds, no signs of a fall. It was as if the man had been pulled apart. His 2 companions were never found. The community was shaken. Some mysteries they began to feel were best left unsolved, but the violence continued. In 1931, a logger named Andrew Kamluk was found dead in the woods near town. The back of his skull was utterly smashed. 15 feet away lay a heavy piece of logging equipment covered in his blood. It would have taken 3 or 4 men to lift it. The grisly conclusion? Something had picked it up, used it as a weapon, and hurled it aside. Years earlier, in 1920, bow hunters found a blood-smeared houseboat on the Yukon River. Inside, the hermit owner, Albert Petka, was dying. With his last breaths, he described a monstrous fur-covered figure that had approached his boat. He raised his rifle, but the creature moved with blinding speed, swatted the weapon away, and smashed him repeatedly against his own home before casually walking away, leaving Petka for dead. These were not the acts of a bear or a wolf. This was something that killed not for food, but with a terrifying, purposeful brutality. Fear became a resident of Port Chatham. It lived in every shadow at the edge of town, in every strange sound at night. The Aleut warnings about the Nantiinaq no longer seemed like stories. They felt like a deadly reality. Finally, in 1936, the community made a collective decision. The cannery was closed, families packed their belongings, and one by one, they left Port Chatham for good, fleeing to the neighboring town of Portlock. They abandoned their homes not to a flood or a failing economy, but to the thing in the forest. But the story did not end with the town's abandonment. Sightings persisted. In 1968, a goat hunter claimed a terrifying creature stalked him for days near the ruins. In 1990, an Anchorage paramedic treated an elderly Aleut inmate who shared a chilling personal account from 1973. He and 3 others were camping in Dogfish Bay. For 3 nights, something large circled their tent. They could hear its heavy footsteps and breathing. It took the salmon leftovers they left outside, but never threatened the tent itself. The man was adamant. It was not a bear. It was a Nantiinaq, and only their show of deference had saved them. The area around Port Chatham is a labyrinth of caves and deep valleys. Hunters have reported trails of 18-inch humanoid footprints. Trackers have seen evidence of something ambushing large game like moose and then retreating in a straight line towards the mist-shrouded mountains. So what forced the evacuation of Port Chatham? A long-lost hominid evolving in isolation? A tragic, cursed being from indigenous legend? Or simply the terrifying power of fear itself? Fear magnified by the dark, the unknown, and the tragic, violent deaths that defied explanation. In the end, the truth may be less important than the consequence. Whether the Nantiinaq was flesh or folklore, its legend grew strong enough to empty an entire town. It serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes the most compelling forces that shape our world are not the ones we can see and measure, but the ones we feel in the deepest parts of our psyche. And in the silent, decaying ruins of Port Chatham and in the deep woods that surround it, that feeling has never truly left.